So here I am after taking a few years break from the game like most do. I started playing in the 90s, stopped in the early 2000s, got back into it in 2015 and took a break a few years ago, and now we're at a Lord of the Rings set, it looks like, and I kind of had to put the brakes on again and look back in time and when the game was great and ponder my collection. Kind of decide, do I still want to support this game and move forward with, you know, these money grabbing sets that I have no relation to or interest in. To me, it has nothing to do with Magic the Gathering. Stranger Things, Godzilla, Transformers. It's a very twisted direction, and it seems lazy, or maybe just a really bad inside joke, or maybe it's a little more sinister than that, and the game is being purposefully driven, like crash test dummying right into a brick wall. That's what it seems like. It kind of seems there's no coming back now. The only way forward is for the true players to go backwards and just stick with the nostalgia and kind of have that visual reminder of when the game was great and why the game is still great if you are familiar with how the game used to be, if you did play back then before all of this sort of corporate Hollywoodization, who knows what you want to call it, but it's the outside world and inserted into a fantasy game, which should never happen. That's just making the game into a bread and circus show isn't good for anyone. It's not fun, first of all. So I don't know how a lot of these ideas get past the first person that needs to okay them. It's just obvious that there's an agenda being pushed here. I'm not going to say it's cancel culture making its way into the game, but there's cards that are censored now. Some, okay, sure, they should be, absolutely, but others, it really makes you realize that this fashion statement trendiness of social behavior is it's so poisonous that it even seeps into a game like Magic the Gathering, that there just can't be anything that's raw and unique and original anymore. It all kind of has to have this encompassing umbrella ideology and, very thin-skinned, sensitive, easily offended for no reason, you know, for having an idea outside of the box even is wrong in the game now, and especially the art direction is just soulless. It's corporate clueless soullessness. It's laziness. I know a lot of these artists, it's not their fault. They probably are given sort of A to Z of what it needs to be, and that's what they do. But there is no originality anymore. You could tell an AI could do better. It seems that half these are just AI generated is what it looks like. But even for the simple art back then, it still stands the test of time like no card today does. It almost surpasses that. There are great things to lean back on as reminders of why the game can still be great. But that's where I am now, is kind of questioning. It's a love-hate relationship with the game. I'm going full circle, obviously, and it's sad seeing it regress into what it is now and not evolve. This Lord of the Rings one of one thing, and that could be a whole nother video and discussion and rant and rave there, but that's obviously a hoax. Let's not use the word hoax, but it's not going to be legit. There's no way it would be with how much press and publicity and this and that. There's no way Wizards would allow it to just be randomly inserted into a box. You know what I mean? There's a 50-50 chance that it'll just never be opened, is my guess. But really, it's pushing the game in the wrong direction, I think. Right now it doesn't feel like Magic the Gathering when you have, the fantasy feeling, the originality, losing meaning and turning into just sensitive skin and bones. It feels like all of the meat of the game is just fallen off now. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't think that the outside world needs to be pushed into any card game, any fantasy game. That's the problem with video games now. I can't really get into, current video games unless they're usually remakes of old games or ports of old games, or because it's all just social politics and current things that I'm trying to escape from and not, have pushed into my free time when I'm trying to relax, have fun, let go. And the real thing is, it's to escape. It's to be in that fantasy land and taken away from these false realities that kind of shape where we're at now. And if in the last 10 years, it's kind of gotten really wild and almost aggressive at this point. And the fact that it's even entering into the card game, you have to ask some huge questions there of why and for what, if they're willing to kind of sacrifice the fun and enjoyment of the game, the paper game, and this and that to push, social agendas. And as much as they say it's for everyone, sometimes it doesn't feel that way.